it's obvious that Godot is the #1 engine after everything that has happened. Unity totally screwed up. No one wants to use the engine anymore because they're going to take your money if you're successful, and no one likes that, right? That's just how it is. You try to take people's money, they'll go to places where people aren't going to take their money, you know? Simple economics. You use Unity? Well, that's okay. The Unity downfall you know what? I mean, I'll be honest with you, it probably will be like either in marketing, business, they cover that kind of stuff. Like I had case studies all the time when I was at university covering different businesses that screwed up. Like one that we covered a lot was like a daycare center that like expanded too quickly and then like literally imploded on itself. And there was like because I did finance, so it was like financial mistakes. Enron is one that people always talk about. Unity hasn't gone out of business. So like, as long as they don't go down in smoke and go bankrupt or something happens, and are they like a publicly listed company? Like maybe it comes out that there's like some kind of financial thing. You know, like if that doesn't happen, then I don't think people will remember it. But if it does happen, if they do go out of business or they fuck up even more, yeah, people will study this at university, you know? So that was pretty interesting. I haven't like looked into this. It's worth trying out Godot. Is it worth if I've learnt Unity for a year now, understand it? I did Unity and Unreal for like a couple of months before I looked at Godot. I learnt how to code and all that kind of stuff. Godot was really what clicked for me, but like, I mean, if you want to, I wouldn't stress too much. It's really just a matter of preference. Try it out and see if you like it. And then if you do, keep using it. That's what I'd recommend. Give it a go. See how you feel. So I thought that was a really fascinating find. I don't know who this guy is, but GMT Jam is what? Like how many people did that? Like 5,000, 10,000? I actually don't know. Where's Itch? Oh, look, fatherly love. We love to see it. Game jams. I didn't participate. It was just this weekend, right? Or was it last weekend? There's too much stuff. Featured jams, past jams? GMT Game Jam. 7,696 submissions. And I don't know what his low-key waiting for tell me. Okay, I haven't seen anyone post this. Successfully used GDScript. I'm a doctor, video game science. I don't know if he posted his method. Was this weekend. Okay. This is surprising. Feels like everything is falling into place for Godot. The #1 choice. Unity having issues. 4.3 is so good. Like it looks really good. I think that's the key thing. Like appearances do matter. And when you download 4.3, it looks a lot more, a lot nicer than Godot has, right? It's one of the reasons I turned to it is because it was free and open source. Like, you know that whatever you make, any money you make with Godot is going to be yours if you make money. So that's a really strong pull. So yeah, I don't know. I think this is by far like a really good news. I'd love to see the interest, like I know that I forget the guy's name, GMTK. He publishes that kind of stuff as well, Mark. So I think when he does his video, he'll tell us. I never got the chance to try Unity. I hear it's great and got a lot of community content. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing that Godot is missing, and that like people in the community are trying to fill that gap. You know, we're making templates, we're making tutorials, just to try and build it up. But yeah, Unity does have that over Godot without even argument, right? Like their store, they've got so much free resources. Like you can't compete with that. Not yet, at least. You know, once Godot does get a proper store, I think that will be the final nail in the coffin, because like people will just port all of their free stuff over. Like a lot of stuff that's in the Unity store is not specific to Unity. It's like 3D assets that could be listed on the Godot store tomorrow, right? So once that comes out, I think we'll see another wave of changeover. And as time goes on, it'll just become like a more attractive offering for independent game makers. And obviously you'll still have like commercial use, like people who want support and those kind of things. That's probably the next step. Once they get the store up, maybe they can look at like a commercial offering for bigger companies that do want that support through that that company that they set up. I forget its name. The one that's based in Ireland and people think is dodgy. They might need to beat those allegations first, but you know, one step at a time. We'll make it through, and you know, hopefully this trend will continue. It'll be interesting to see. Like the real test is like, how long is it going to keep going, or is it just like a spike in interest? You know, how much do we retain? Because I think if we can retain these numbers, then there's really no stopping us. It's just going to be like Blender, where when Blender, was it 3 or 4? 2? I forget the version that came out, and it just like blew everything out of the water, and it was just so much better. As someone experienced in Unreal, Unity, and Godot, how far behind is the asset library? I guess I mean, I wouldn't categorize myself as experienced with Unreal or Unity, but I have like dabbled around in them before moving over to Godot. I've never made a game in Unity or Unreal, but like I've looked at listing things on the store, right, for Unity, and at least from like the cursory glance that I took, I think it was a couple of months ago, like we're talking miles ahead. Like there's actual legitimate companies that exist on the Unity on Unreal asset stores, right? Like there's an entire economic ecosystem. Like there's businesses that have cropped up around that platform that don't exist on the asset library, right? Because you can't, it's open source, you can't charge money on the asset library, right? There's no reason for them to list that, so it's just the free stuff that gets there. Yeah, it's a marketplace, and so like that's really powerful, and it brings in commercial stuff, and that level of professionalism you just won't find in Godot. And so, you know, you're sort of stuck with not that there's anything wrong with the open source free stuff. It just means there's going to be less stuff, and the quality is going to be potentially lower. And on top of that, like people looking for support for those products, they're not going to get that, right? Not going to get the same level of support that you might get if you bought like a professionally made asset on the Unity marketplace or the Unreal library. I don't know what they're called. I've forgotten. But yeah, you know, like they're completely like Godot is very far behind in that. Like it doesn't even exist. The asset library is not the same. Like it's not even comparable. Like I don't actually even know like Go Online if like what kind of sorting they do. Recently updated, license least recently updated, so there's not even like a popularity kind of thing. There's no algorithm here. It's just like whatever's the most recent, it shows up. So like, and there's also like keyword issues, at least in my experience. Like for mine, it's I think you have to type in first person, right? First person, because that's how I've called it, right? It'll show up if you type first person, but if you type FPS, it's just not going to be there, right? They should create a separate library where people can sell stuff. Yeah, I think that's what they'll do, right? They'll need to separate it because because Godot is open source, because Godot is not for profit, there'll need to be something else, and I don't know how that will tie in. And it's probably why they've taken so long to do it. Like, I know they want to, but like, it's complicated with the way that it's set up. And I'm just not sure. I'm like, I don't know much about like how open source and like that kind of profitability sort of ties in. You've looked at videos for other engines, but always on other engines, it's like, just get this asset pack. They've got all the necessary, now you've got a game. Yeah. Something like Blender Market. Yeah, for sure. But like, that doesn't integrate. I think integration is probably going to be key here. Like, I don't know. Is there like, I've never seen Blender Marketplace. I don't even go. Blender Market? I've heard of it. Blender Market. Is it run by Blender Foundation though? Like, I feel like that's the key thing, because people have tried to launch asset stores in the past. I think Stay at Home Dev, he's pretty big, right? There's 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's big for Godot. Like, he tried to launch one. I don't think it was that successful. I listed my stuff on there. I think I made 2 sales. So, you know, it's tough. We're just waiting for the right one. Okay, Blender Market is to go like community trusted, all rights reserved, privacy, help desk, creator, product licensing, about us. Power indie artists founded by CG Cookie. Okay, so it's the same kind of story, because he's a YouTube guy, right? Or is it? It's a company. I've seen it before. They sell tutorials. CG Cookie. I don't know if it's a YouTuber, but yeah. I mean, good on him. Yeah, I've been here before. I was considering purchasing some of this before I switched over to just doing programming instead of doing art. But yeah, like when Blender 3 dropped, I think that changed the game. Yeah, CG Cookie is a YouTuber. Yeah. So like, there's a lot of I think gaps that Godot needs to fill before it can fully dominate the indie market, but it's getting really close. A few more years, I think there will be not a lot left for it. Like, you know, it's just going to be the choice for people that are doing it on their own, right? It's just the thing for me, like these days, is the lightness. Like Unity and Unreal are like quite heavy pieces of software, which I don't like. Can I expect a better asset lib of Godot in the future though? It's something that's been spoken about in the Godot community. I think we all want it. I think is it W3, the company? W3 Godot. W3C, Fabio on Godot, Games GC, W3C.org. Is that it? Am I in the right place? No. Never mind. I forget the name of the company. Anyway, I would say it's something that everyone wants. It's something they're working towards, but I wouldn't count on it anytime soon. Right? Like you just can't make decisions about the future based, you know, like on a wish. Essentially, people know that it's been worked on, which is why we talk about it. It's why, like, when anyone brings up the Unity versus Godot versus Unreal conversation, a big part of what Godot is lacking is something in the asset library, something more commercial, something like with more offering, and it's just not there. And I don't know. I wouldn't count on it probably before the end of Godot 4. You know, maybe in the next 2-3 years. I honestly not too sure. It's hard to say, right? Like, in 2020, when I started seriously using Godot, people were talking about that. To give you an idea, right? I started using it, and my goal was to be able to start like knowing how to use the engine, because I thought it was going to become a big deal. Blender market is independent. Yeah, right. So like Blender doesn't have, I don't think they have like a sanctioned marketplace. So they're in the same kind of issue where they're open source. And it's hard to like create a store around that. I don't know if they even want to though. That might be different. It's something that people have come to expect from a game engine. It's not necessarily something that people come to expect from, I mean, I don't know. I've never used a commercial, actually that's not true. I have used commercial 3D modeling software, but not in the last 15 years. You know, like when I was in high school taking graphics as a course, as a class, yeah, we were using Autodesk, I think. But I don't remember there being a store, but also it was the student edition, so I don't actually know. Yeah. Don't know. Anyway, so that's like the big news. I think that's really interesting. We will follow. We'll keep an eye on this. We'll be watching. It's very exciting to see the progress. I mean, it's been a year. Like if we think about Unity, it was this time last year. I think it was in September, right? Where they announced their change in terms of service. They've rolled that all back now. So, you know, like those issues around it have rolled back, but I think the trust has been lost, right? They know that they have the motivation to change their terms of service and have it retroactively affect people's business. You know, if you published a game 2 years ago and it was successful, they might just go ahead and change the terms of service on you. No one wants that, right? So the trust has been lost, and it's showing here. Shall we do some coding? With the new Blender extensions platform, there are now plans to integrate Blender Market into Blender like an add-on. So the accessibility issues are fixed and the workflow will be more streamlined. That's cool. That's really good news. I think that's something that is exciting to see. You know, open source software starting to dominate the creative space because it gives people more, you know, democratizes the access to the software, which was always like a major sticking point for people wanting to try out and learn this kind of stuff. Like when I was in high school and wanting to like learn how to do this kind of stuff, the only way to do it was to go to like a class, to do like you pay money, you know, and go to like education, not necessarily university. There was like a vocational school that you could go to learn how to do that kind of stuff. But that's like life altering. Like if it's just Blender plus YouTube, you can try that out while you're in school or whatever and learn if you like it, learn if you think you've got what it takes, right? Because it wasn't until like, it was something that I wanted to go into, but I decided not to because it is pretty hard industry to break into, right? And I decided to just study business. And then in 2018, when it became a lot easier to access all this kind of stuff, took a course on Blender Online, plus YouTube, learned it wasn't really for me. Like if I had made that decision to go to like a vocational school, because like there was no such thing as like, you had to pay for licenses and stuff and get educated. You know, it's a big deal that all this stuff is starting to be opened up. What's Angel Cam? Angel is my dog. And it's gone now. But oh shit. Sometimes I will have her up there. But right now it's just the chat. So I've got a couple of different layouts. But I haven't had Angel up there for a couple of weeks now. All right, shall we do some coding? I've been working on a state machine. I'm going to do a third person shooter as a template. And last time we were working on this, we had just created the state machine. So we've got idle, run, jump, boost, and fall. and we were working on the camera system, and I had a couple of doubts around the camera system and how it was going to work. I'll run this here so you guys can see. We're aiming for like a Gears of War, Mass Effect, even something more modern like Once Human, that kind of look. So we've got the bean here. We can't see the label anymore because I've been messing around with perspective, checking out other games, seeing what it looks like for them. And this is sort of what I decided on for the perspective, where you've got like the player over in the 2/3 and the camera sort of basically where the weapon would be, looking down the center. And we've got like an aim down sights. So like obviously we're in very early stages. We don't have any animations or anything like that. So if you can imagine, like if we did a zoom in, maybe the player pulls the gun up so it's a little bit more aligned, and you can look around, and as you can see, like when you turn the camera, obviously the player doesn't get turned into, because we're rotating around that. And I did do a lot of checking because I was very, very concerned about the way that the turning happens in the game. So right now the pivot point is actually the player, and I wasn't sure if that was quite right, but I checked a couple of different games. I checked Mass Effect 1 and 3, and I checked Once Human, and it seems like that is what they're doing. So that's what we're going to roll with. And so I've got to finish off the camera system because right now we're using a spring arm, so we'll never collide through these walls, right? But we will, because it's not aligned with the player. When we do like a sideways one, we can actually clip outside. So we need to fix that. And then I think that's really it for the camera. We've got to add like a couple of extra states like sprint, and then we're good. And we can move on to creating like the weapon system and the animations for that. And I probably need to clean up the state label because it's out of place for where we actually want it. So that's the first thing that we can fix. Where's the character? Alrighty. Label. Pixel size. Wow. It really doesn't need to be that big, eh? Should we put it probably over the head? Maybe if we make it really small, put it over the right-hand side. That might be a bit too small. But the next one up was really big. How does that look? State test. Run, idle, jump, boost, fall. So it's all working. We're all here. So what did I say? Oh, I was going to fix the clipping issue. Ready. Okay, so the clipping issue is, the reason we're having that is because the player is obviously in the center, and does the label need to be 3D? Yes, it does. I mean, it could be in the canvas. That would be totally fine. And I do that with the FPS template. But for this one, I made it 3D because, I don't know, why not? We all like diegetic UIs. Do you have any camera 3D offset? The camera is it's literally offset. So like it sits to the left, or right, I should say, left of camera. It sits to the right of the player. And basically we just use the spring arm because the spring arm gives us the like free, it's like a free, if anything comes between the player and the camera, it just automatically clips in further, which is really good. We want that. But we don't get that on the side, right? We don't get it over here. So we can sort of clip out, which we need to fix. We can do that with a area. We can do it with a raycast. I've done it with a bunch of different things before. Probably I'm trying to think, like collision shape. Collision shape is probably best. So we can add like a collision shape 3D, and we can add a sphere shape, right? And essentially that will detect anything like over the right, and if it gets detected, we just make it a little bit bigger than the camera, right? Probably like 0.8. Like if we're looking at that from the top, hang on, I think my spring arm 3D, I would use a spring arm to another spring arm to the camera 3D. You do a triple spring arm? I guess you could do that, couldn't you? You literally could just have like a second spring arm without having to do all this. The thing is with a single raycast is that you might be able to trick it. Like with a collision shape, you get like all of this buffer zone. Whereas if we did like a second spring arm, I guess we'll test it out. Edge, I don't know, detection. Let's call it that for now. And this one, I guess, yeah, it just pushes the camera to the left. You're right. So the spring length would have to be the same as the offset here, which is 0.8, I guess. So we can put that up, spring length at 0.8. And the direction, can we get like the rotation from there? Because it's at 0, 0. And I guess that goes, like we put this one inside of this one, right? And so like if it gets detected, it pushes in. In terms of, well, what's the player on? The player isn't on that layer, so it's not going to detect the player. So we should be good in that regard. Let's give it a go. Okay, maybe it did detect the player. Oh, it's on the ground. Okay, we need to bring it up off the ground because it's detecting the floor. Let's just take that out, and the transform is 0.8 as well, right? Why 0.8? That's the amount that we have it off the ground. Yeah. And then I can drop this in, right? And now this has got 0 transform, and it's got Z.8, but that'll be pushed out by the spring arm. Still didn't. It's detecting, I guess, the player? I don't know. Hang on a second. Is it detecting the other spring arm? What's it detecting? The collision shape? Let's just remove that. The secondary spring arm is just to push the camera to the left. Yeah. Do you have any camera thing? Yeah. Can we change the size of... Can we change the size of the gizmos? I actually don't know. That's a really good question because they are hard to see, aren't they? I think you can in the editor settings, right? 3D gizmos. You can change the color, bone shape, tilt, grid size 200, gizmo opacity, manipulate a gizmo size. This is the gizmo. Like if you made this 100, the gizmo will like appear bigger, but I don't think that's going to change anything else. Collision mask, collision. Are they detecting each other? That is the question, really. Can they do that? Because it is snapping to the center of the player. What's going on here? Collision mask, layer 1. What script do you have in your camera system? Does it mess up something? It really just does the rotation. Sorry about that. That is not the right way to do it when you're showing it on camera, where you got to press Control-Shift-11. Let's have a look. So we've got the only thing that moves the camera is this enter ADS and exit ADS. That's the only thing, and it happens when you press the tab key. Other than that, it's literally just the rotation. Like we are just handling the rotation all in this script. camera look, enter ADS, exit ADS, get ADS. Okay. So I think we should be okay in that regard. Look how it's made a box. Is it supposed to do that? I'm a little bit confused. Oh, it's just everything that's encapsulated. Did ADS point in this? No. ADS point is just like, it's just a reference for me to decide where to put the aim down sights. That's all it is. It's just a marker in space. So if I decided that I wanted the marker to be further away from the player or closer to the player, I can change that without having to update like a vector 3 in the script. That's all it is. It's just me being lazy. Hussein, hey, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Does the script still target the ADS point? No. So how it works is at the start of the ready, it basically gets that point, or ADS start point, right? And it just, ADS point is here in a very lazy fashion. And when we enter ADS, we get the position of that point. So when we press the ADS button, which is tab, and all it does is gets that position as the end point of the tween. That's all it does. We're not actually like, there's nothing happening in the process function. So like, unless you make an input, the camera doesn't really change. The camera only rotates around the mouse input. So there's no process here. So it's not likely that that's the reason. I have a feeling they collide with each other. I wonder if there's like something in the API that I can use to test that. Hey, Blood Mage, how are you? Welcome to the stream. Should it not be instead of, I mean, that doesn't really matter. It's not really, like if there was an error there, it would really just come to when I hit the tab key, which is not even working anymore because, yeah, there's something in the debugger. Let's have a check. Node not found. Yeah, it's not actually finding it. I wonder, I might just do like an export for it. Jeez, it's hard to read, eh? Maybe it was the issue. Never know. ADS. Point, that's good. It's a marker. 3D. And it doesn't need to be equal to anything. Let's just comment that out. And let's go back to 3D space. I suppose I don't need to go back to the 3D space and just assign that ADS point there. And tab key doesn't work anymore though. That is interesting. Something in this has gone weird for sure. Like with that reparenting, like ADS zoom. Like I would expect the tween to still work. But you know what? Maybe I need to put this, maybe the script needs to be on the top level, like on the, because what we were doing, not, this is kind of like outside of the point because it wouldn't, like I'm trying to say, it wouldn't affect the position of the camera from the get-go. It just doesn't do that. So, right, I was trying to see, there is excluded objects, RID. So we can set something as an excluded object, get hit length, clear excluded objects. Right? They just mask. They can't collide against each other, right? It's just a collision mask. They don't actually collide. That's not possible. So what? Layer 2? Layer 1, right? Oh, you can change its shape. That's cool. I like that. Let's just rethink this for a second. So we go back to that. Everything is as it should be. If I turn on collisions, like in the debug, will I be able to see the collision shapes? No, you can't see the spring arm. That's a bit disappointing. Like how the shape's just not updated. How does that work? Arm foes do not have shape. Well, why do I get the choice? Spring arm foes not have a shape. Okay. The shape 3D for the spring arm. When the shape is set, the spring arm will cast a shape 3D on its Z axis instead of performing a ray cast, which is actually better for what we want. Like that's literally what I was going to do before. And so I get all the computation for free. So this is like what we want to do. It's just a question of like why it was defaulting to the center. And I'm just not sure. So what if I put this like further out, right? So I reparent that so it's all like there. So this should actually push the camera further away. I use spring arm shapes to help detect collision. If the collision is hit, then move the camera inwards. Yeah. It just goes back to the center, which is so weird. You know what it is? I figured it out. It's the camera is getting moved over to here, right? It's not actually, it's not like leaving this the way it is. It's like actually positioning it here, right? So the camera is now being moved to this point, wherever it is, 180 degrees. That's where it's showing up because the state label is on the other side of the player when you run it. Look at this. See this? The state is over there, right? So there's just interesting little problem there. Is there a setting to prevent that kind of positioning? Or is it just like use its information without or like change the parenting? You know what I mean? Like the camera system is the one that is the parent of the edge detection. You know what I'm saying? And then this sits inside of this. Something like that. So we have subtract 0.8. So that's at the center. And then spring arm is 0.8. Something like that. Hey, someone followed. Let me just grab that. I must have my follower alerts turned off. No, they're just broken. I don't know what that is. Hang on a second. Danish Gamers, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. All right. Let's see if this parenting system works. Okay. It looks like it is. What happens if we go close to the wall? It kind of looked like it worked for a second and then it pushed through, right? Like see this? Kind of looks good and then it like blip, pushes out. Probably like a detection thing. Like we almost got it, boys. Like this is exactly what we want. We don't want it to push any further. And then it just goes straight through. I really wish they were visible. Increase the margin. Let's just make it like 0.1, like a factor of 10. And let's just reset this. So we got it's a little bit too far out as well. That's not too bad. Yeah, I think we just got to keep pushing the margin up. Let's just make it 1. Still like bugs out. I feel like I could do a better job manually. because now we're just on the outside. And it's not until we're like, when we get here, it like works totally fine. But when we turn in, it's like, blip. How big can we make it? It just doesn't work. Okay. Try changing the margin on the camera. It's like this one here. Does the spring arm collide with the wall? It definitely does. Otherwise, none of this, like if we turn this off, right? Should be able to see like an immediate difference. Which is, it just goes straight through. I'm glad that happened. We go back to layer 1. Something about this just don't feel right. It works so well right up until the very final point. Maybe, you know what? Something feels off. Hey, Ozair, how are you going? Something feels off with its positioning. And we just need one viewport right now. It doesn't feel like it's in the center. See how it's a little off? That's it there. That's what it is. Camera has a Z. There you go. That's what it was. There is our answer. Ooh, still happens. Well, also, like, what happens if we do this? Okay. So, and then also this seems to push out like a little bit further than what I wanted. Camera system is at 0.8. I feel like something is like it sits there, and then this is a child of that. This is so messy. What's new? We're trying to make a third-person shooter template. I'm just about to give up on the edge detection and do my own version of this that I know should the camera offset be x -2. Yeah, dude. That actually doesn't matter. Like I could make this like over here and it'll just still be here. It's actually completely irrelevant, the position of that, because it gets instantly overridden by the idle. Although, I was going to say, like, and now for some reason it works, but it doesn't, because when we try to pass through, strange things happen. You know what it is? This is what I was saying before, like, this is like a single raycast, and it needs to be wider than that, because the minute I turn, you're no longer colliding, and we're going to be able to get through the wall. So we're going to change this to a sphere shape, and see if we can get a better response. I'll change the margin to 1 again. The movement step size. The movement step? Movement step size. Try adding a shape. I think shape is the answer. 0.5. Let's make it point. I mean, it needs to be 0.8, right? Like, because that's the distance that we want to go. Okay, that performed worse. I wish I could see it. That's the most annoying part about all of this is like, why can't I see this in the engine? Like maybe there's something, what is this? Visibility parent? Oh, okay. Maybe there's something here that I'm missing and I would be able to pick up on it if I could see it, you know? Let's reset the position of this. Sorry, that should be -2. -2. There we go. Top left, debug, show collision shapes. Yeah, we have got that, but for some reason, edge detection is not included in that. I don't know why. So we do have visible collision shapes. Visible avoidance, debug canvas item redraws. Navigation, visible paths. I don't know. It's just not showing. I think I'm gonna just do my own. It's a bummer. What does this say? Maybe I should read it. When the collision check is made, a candidate length for the spring arm is given. The margin is then subtracted to its length. The translation is applied to the child's object. This margin is useful when has a camera 3D as a child node. Without a margin, the camera 3D would be placed on the exact point while the margin would be replaced to the closest point. So does this mean like smaller better? I actually don't think the margin, that's probably not what it is. Maybe 0.5 is better just in case. Add a collision shape to the edge detection. Yeah, it's got one, dude. But it's like, I can't see it, so it's really hard for me to know whether or not it's like actually there being detected. This is not used in Godot physics. Collision margin allows detection to be more efficiently by adding an extra shell around the shell. The collision algorithms are more expensive when the objects overlap by more than their margin. So a higher value for margins is better for performance at the cost of accuracy. Okay, so that should actually be lower. Let's make it 0.1. And I'm an idiot. Fingers crossed. And we're still blasting through this wall like no problem. Is it the player? That's the other thing that I'm kind of... It's on the second layer, so it really shouldn't be detected by any of this. In fact, if it was, we'd be stuck in the center. Like if we move the player to the layer 1, I'm pretty sure... No, okay, we just don't. It's not getting factored in. Doesn't actually affect it. Yeah, I don't know. I give up. I'm going to do my own. Because it's just going to be easier. Because if we have like a... If we... No, don't delete the whole thing. Let's just reparent that. This has to be moved, right? Does it automatically get placed in the right spot? Yeah, it does. There was something weird with that anyway, because it was pushing the camera way further out. Like, there was something really weird. Hang on, can we go back? And what if I added like a mesh so I could actually see where this is going? Let's just put it here and make it like a little circle, right? I don't have the visual, so it's so difficult for me to know. Where's the circle? Oh, make it a cylinder. Is the wall super thin? No, I don't think so. It's like 1 meter wide. Plus it clipped through that too. I mean, technically, I guess the collision, yeah, I don't know. It's just a single line, but let's, always kind of been unhappy with the spring arm system. I would love to see you try making something else to handle the camera. I'm going to do it with it'll be the same thing, but it'll just be, right? So if we just add that so we can see where this is actually sitting. Standard material, and then just make it red so it stands out. Right. I can't even see it. Must be inside the player. Way to go. It must be... Oh, it's on the camera. Not visible. Oh, it's so annoying. Anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna delete this. I'm gonna do it myself because that's just not working. Maybe I'll check Should I check to see if there's like resources? Nah, fuck it. I'll just do it my own. Do it my own way. Which I've done like collision shape. So basically you just get a collision shape. I've done this with the lean. So like with the FPS player, not a collision shape. I want a shapecast 3D. That's what we want. Right. And this one will need to be a sphere. So we're going to have a sphere here, right? And it's not going to be -1, but actually make it 0 there. And I think we need to go on the x-axis, right? And so that will push in. Probably doesn't need to go that far out, to be honest. We can just have it here. In fact, I would say that we want it to actually be offset -0.8 and then push out 0.8, right? The thing is, I don't know where it's going to show up. It's probably just going to get automatically positioned. Like it can't actually be a child of the camera system. I might need to have this out here and just go like edge detection. I think this is, I have to remember that the spring arm system just automatically like moves stuff around and it's super annoying. So now you see we've got that like sphere, right? And so when we hit it, it's actually going to push in and we can just like get that information and translate the camera to the center. Even further if we want, realistically, but like that's what I'm going to try. See, the thing is, I've never been able to get like a good smooth movement with this. So like, even if I do it this way, I don't think it's going to look that good, but I guess we'll see. Detection. It's a shapecast, right? And there's, the thing is with shapecast is that there's no like signal. Bluetooth bird, hey, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. There's no signal that comes from the shapecast, which means we need to check for it all the time. And low key, close your eyes and take a deep breath. It's okay. It's all right. The thing with edge detection is shapecast means we're going to need to be checking it all the time. I guess that's okay. I don't like you know, I tell you guys all the time, I don't like to use the process function that much. It just kind of annoys me to have to poll for something when I know that I could use a signal and just have like a single function. But shapecast is what shapecast does. So I guess I like to keep all the overrides. Oh shit, I don't know what I just deleted. I think we're okay. I like to keep all my overrides at the top. I think that's pretty normal, right? So you get process. Does it need to be physics? Probably not. It's probably fine to not be in the physics process. And then we can just shape edge detection, right? Let's collide with areas, collision mask, collision result. Force shapecast update, collision get collider. So basically we're always getting the collider. Is colliding, right? Max results, remove exception. Resource changed. I need to read the documents because I'm kind of looking for something very particular. Obviously, we only want to not get collider. Is colliding. We only want to do this if it's colliding, and it's only going to collide with the world. So we don't really need to do anything else, right? Like, I'll just type pass here for a second. Move camera. Right. If it's colliding, we move the camera. Pretty straightforward. Shapecast 3D. What have we got here? We've got collide with areas, collision mask, collision result, which is an array. Debug shape, custom color, enabled collision parents, max results, shape, target position. does this change relative to the node's position? Like when it collides, does it get updated? That's what I'm kind of curious about. Like, can I use that to move the camera? You know what I'm saying? Other than that, if it's colliding, we can just get the information. We can probably get the normal. And then if failing this being updated, then I'll probably just get the normal information from the collider and use that to move the camera away from it, essentially. Like we just have like a safe area. So for now, let's just print get target position, obviously edge detection. Let's just see what this prints out as we like run into the wall. And see if we can like piggyback off that. No, it's always 0.8. So that's not going to work. What we can do is we can go via edge data equals edge detection dot collision result, right? Oh, I guess it's just that, right? Edge data has no static type. It's an array. Okay, and then we can just go if edge data just in case. And I'm kind of curious what we get from the collision result. Returns the complete collision information from the collisions. The data returned is the same as get rest info. So we've got linear velocity normal. So it'd be the number 2 is the number we want. The intersection point might also be worth knowing. The edge collider, the colliding object's ID, velocity if the object is in area 3D. The point might see. As long as that's in global space, we can use that rather than the normal. The normal's not that helpful for us, actually. So if we get the point, which is 0, 1, sorry, I'm peeking, which is 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. Uh, 3D, 2D, what script are we looking for? Camera system. Get target position, no, we want edge data. If edge data, print edge data 3, right? So I'm just sort of probing the information that we get out of this just to see, because I don't know. And sometimes you just have to experiment, right? It's going to crash. Invalid get index 3 based on array. Array, edge data? Ah, it's an array of dictionaries. Right, okay. Okay. Then I can just go point. Right, that's how it'll work. Should have been paying more attention. So I think, yeah, it is global space. I can just compare the two and move it based on that information. Like simply subtract the two, like the position of this collision versus the position of like the global position of the spring arm, and then move it based on that, and also the marker 3D. All right. Or we could just instantly move to the center. That's our two options. We'll see how this looks. You know, you get like two choices. It's like either you try to do something fancy, if it doesn't work, just move to the center. That's all we have to do, right? Okay, so collision point. We'll go with that. Equals edge data point, and then var camera position, I guess, will be equal to the yeah, it's this position, so I guess we'll just say global position, right? We should be able to subtract the two. What node did you use for wall detection? Forgot the shapecast 3D. These guys are magical little balls, and they just allow you to see and get. They're so much better than raycasts for the particular reason that you can detect a lot more. But sometimes the API is a little bit different, so like the information you get from it is not always the same. And I mean, the same with raycast. You don't get a signal, right? Okay, so we've got the global position, no static type for either of these. These are vector 3s. Right. And I'm trying to think, like, we really just want to move on the x-axis here. But that's going to be different based on their two global positions, right? Because the x-axis is relative if we're rotated. So I'm trying to think. I hate vector math so much. Like, how do we know this is the vector? Right? How do we know that? I don't know. I don't know the math behind that. We've got a global position. I guess find the vector from the camera center to the player. From the camera, find the vector from the player center to the player's. Yeah. Camera center to player center. Yeah, well, that would tell you the direction we need to move. Realistically. We would also know that based on the direction between these two. So like the distance between these 2 points is the direction we need to move. We just need to move away from it. Might end up with some weird behaviors if we just do that. We do need to just move to the center by the distance. So if I subtract the two, and it's actually camera position is not what we want. We do want player position, right? Like we do have that character. We have the character position. So realistically, it's not the edge data that we want. It's the distance between. So what we can do is we could probably go character position. Like, let's just rename this. Character position. Character.global position. We can find out the distance between the two. What if it was direction to wall? Or distance to wall? Is a vector 3. And it's going to be the collision point minus the character position. Maybe, oh fuck, I hate vector math. Man, I'm so done with this stuff. I need to like actually sit down and take a course or something. If I subtract the two, yeah, I will get the distance to it, but it'll be in the form of a vector 3, which kind of sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard for me to know what to do with that. It's like, yeah. Or is it always going to be the x-axis? No, I didn't think so, right? Wait. Is it always the x? It is always the x. Actually, that's not true. Dude, I don't know. Local is always the x-axis. The local is always the x-axis, I think. Dun, 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 dun. What does this tell me? I need to find the direction to. Direction to? Would I be able to find that? Like collision point direction to character position? Character position dot direction to vector 3 character position? Does that actually return a vector 3? It probably returns a normalized vector 2 pointing to this vector. This is equivalent to b minus a normalized. Distance 2 returns a float. I think I'm just going to use distance 2 because I'm dumb and I just need something. And this will have to be a float. Character position, distance to character position. I like that. Collision point. And you just happen to try on 2 walls on the x-axis. Yeah. That was like super dumb of me. I guess it'll be negative here? No, it's still positive. That's awesome. Let's try this one over here. Should rotate with the camera rotation, so locally. Yeah, but we're getting the global position, we're not getting the local position. So unfortunately we have to work in the global space, because if we can only know the exact position in global space that the collision is being made, if that makes sense. This is not that helpful anyway, because it goes from like, so this is kind of what we want, like it's 1.4, right, at its maximum. But then as we get closer, it only goes down to 0.9, which is kind of like we want it to be essentially 0. Like we can't get any closer than that, apparently. I wonder if we made the shapecast bigger, we'd be able to. Oh, it's probably the radius, right? Like you can't actually get to the center of the player. We'd have to account for that. Is that what I'm thinking? Like the player here has a radius of 0.5. And so it's going from the center to the center. Wouldn't the target position work? I don't know, man. I know this is working. Make a second collision shape for the camera. Yeah. So, I mean, that does work, but we do need to account for the radius of both shapes for this to work, because we're getting 1 at the end of it. So the thickness of the object that we're touching, because obviously that point, I don't know, like, what if we made this 1? No, wrong thing. What if we made this bigger? Doesn't really change much, does it? And in fact, it makes things worse. I'll think about that. What we're gonna do for now. The wrong one. I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Okay, distance to wall is helpful. We've got the 2 positions, and then we can calculate the distance to it. But the issue now is that the number that we get back from that is never going to be the same as the distance we need to move, right? I don't think, right? So where is the... We still have that output, yeah. So it goes from, like if you look at the way, the number that it reports, 0.9 to 1.9. The camera is situated at 0.8, And if we're never going to be able to get it to go to the center, right? That is pretty close to 0.8, I guess. But like, I would get more reliable behavior by just going directly to the center. Like I can just change the transform to 0. You know what I'm saying? Or I could clamp it. The other option is just to clamp. Distance 2 minus the camera system radius. Yeah, something like that. I mean, the camera system radius? Yeah, well, it would be radiuses. I think it's just the radius with the player, but like I'm not quite seeing that. We're 2 away. And this is, what's it going to? Like when we detect, the edge detection is casting at 0.8, right? And so when it detects that, it goes 0.8 plus the half the radius, right? Because the direction, the point that it goes to is the center of this, I believe. Calculator. So it would be 0.8 plus 0.25, which is 1.05. Plus the radius of the half, well, wait, it actually should be 0.5, right? Because it's half. Radius is half. What am I saying? It's not diameter. Right? Like that actually takes up an entire unit. Like it's 1, see? So it's not half, it's 0.8 plus 1, which is 1.8. Which, I mean, we're not getting 1.8, we're getting 1.9. Which is a little bit further. Either way, we can just move it inwards until we make it. I don't know. We don't want to move that much. If we took away a whole 1.9 minus 1, and then we start moving inwards based on that, we'd get pretty close, but it wouldn't be 100%. Distance to wall. Distance to move, I guess I'm going to call this, to move, is a float, which is equal to the distance to wall give me a second, guys. Let me cook. You needed a calculator for 1 minus 1.9. Yeah, well, at some point you just do everything through a calculator. I don't know. I was just thinking, putting numbers in. I'm going to be thinking here too about the distance to move, even though it's like pretty obvious math. Like I said, I'm kind of dumb. Like making tutorials, but it takes me a long time to make them, if you know what I'm saying. Because I have to sit here and think about everything that I do. If that makes sense. So let's have a think for a second. The distance to move isn't going to be, like, we're going to report 1.9. Let him cook. It's going to be, like, I want that to be, like, the starting point. Another day in the life of the game dev. Yeah, exactly. I need to get the starting point, right? Otherwise I can't do any math. That's something I need to keep, right? How can I do that? because I'm refreshing that number every point, the collision point. Get a starting point in the ready function? No, I need a starting point because there wouldn't be anything to collide with, but I will need a variable anyway. First, edge detection? I don't know. We're just spitballing here. Do I have any experience with NetFox? Definitely not. I've never heard of that until now. What's NetFox? A lightweight what online setup? Reddit? Building multiplayer games online. It's server authoritative design, implements time synchronization, a custom update for your network game. Similar to process and physics protest. Latency compensation, in the form of rollback, state interpolation, and more. I'm not a computer science guy. I actually don't know what you mean by rollback netcode. In the form of rollback state interpolation. So if you've been Googling for Godot rollback like I did, I'll post this for you. So what is rollback? I actually don't know. I tried to keep it as close to synchronizer as possible, and in similar vein, you add a rollback synchronizer node, configure the properties you want to synchronize, and implement your game logic. Okay. Consistent timing. Lag compensation. Bulletproof connectivity. I mean, it sounds really interesting. I quit multiplayer. I couldn't do it. I don't have it. Don't have that dog in me. This is just a float. Is it? No, it's a vector 3. Or is it? I mean, it's a float, really. And it's not going to have a value, right? And then we'll just go first edge detection, and then we can say if not first edge detection, then first edge detection equals distance to wall, right? We just store that the first time it comes across us. And then we'll have it. And then we can compare the distance moved. So we can just go first edge detection minus distance to wall. And that'll be the amount that we've gotten closer, right? And what we can do, I know I do a spectator camera, like when you die and the teammate is spectated. I feel like that's, yeah, it's tough, right? Like you would need to have like a completely different mode. So like the player as like the client would move into like, it's controlling a character, and then like it died, and then you press a button, and now it's actually like, there's a spectator camera that it can like actually go to. So every player in the game would need to have a camera attached to it that could only be accessed by the dead players. Something like that. Else, first edge detection is equal to null. Is it going to let me do that? Cannot assign null as a type float. We'll just make it 0. And then just say if first edge detection is equal to 0. Let's do that then, if we can't nullify it. All right. What am I doing here? If edge data, let's just go if edge detection is not colliding. So we get 0.4. It really should be like a lot higher. .5. It wouldn't be enough, right? Just to subtract the two numbers. So our options are to move it or add a little bit of extra. The thing is, We should probably just add like an extra bit, like plus 0.5 or something like that, and then just like clamp, right? Like, what does that look like? So it instantly starts at, so it's like a little bit smooth, but it's like not, it'll just like some point move directly into the wall. Or we move it further out. You know what I'm saying? How big is the collision shape of the player? It's 2, right? Like, yeah, it's like 0.5 would probably be the right number, right? Because it's got, you're right, Alfan, you're making a good point here. The radius is 0.5, so 0.5 would be the right number to add there. Because then we're just accounting for the fact that we can't actually get closer than half from it, right? Right, that was good math, right? I'm sure. Hang on a second. Distance to wall, first edge, distance to move. Hang on a second, let's just rerun that. Like, that's actually not that bad. If the distance is like 0.57, that's pretty close to 0.5, which is what you'd kind of expect. Because you're finding the position, the character.global position. Is this a problem you want to improve? I don't understand. Is this a problem? It's not really a problem. We're just making the camera move. Yeah, you're right. Actually, that's a really good point. I could get the collision radius to like add that too. So I can go first edge detection minus distance to wall. Also, I'm realizing this number, does it go up or down? It goes up. Anyway, so we put that in brackets. And then we just go add character dot collision shape. What we're gonna need to get. So that's the thing, right? Like, we actually don't know the size of the. We have the character body 3D, but we don't have the size of the player. So we could actually store that in an export bar, rather than just going get child or whatever, because that's not super reliable. And this is going to be a collision shape. 3D. And then we come back to the camera system, and then we grab that collision shape. Minus collision. What did I call it? Character collider? Character collider dot radius, is it? I'm probably going to need to check the. I probably need to like get shape or something. Hang on a second. We'll store this in another variable. So like character radius. And make that, it's going to be a float, right? And it's going to be equal to the character collider dot collision shape. I don't know the call. Search help. Shape 3D. What have we got? We've got shape. So we want to do get shape, and then we'll get the shape 3D, and then we'll get the. See, the thing is, the shape is assumed. We're making an assumption here that it's going to be a capsule shape. Probably will be. Inherits shape, and then radius. So we just go get shape.radius. That'll probably work, right? radius. Okay, it seems to be happy with that. And then we just subtract the character radius from that. It's pretty good, except it starts at 0. Am I doing the bomb dash properly here? Should it be distance to wall plus character radius? Dude, I'm so bad at math. It's actually embarrassing. It's like... If I can just make it like a positive instead of a negative, I think we'd be good. It looks like really close now to what we want it to be. Because it is about, it's getting to like 0. Distance to wall. First edge detection minus distance to wall plus character radius. Or we just subtract all 3. I actually don't know what the right answer is. It seems to like do the right thing no matter what. Right? It just... .5. Is it negative? Right, because I'm subtracting 0.5 from it. So it starts off at 0. And then it goes to, okay, well, hang on a second. I'm just going to flip it. Distance to wall minus character radius. Oh, man, why am I so bad at this? Why am I so bad at math? I don't think it's going to matter if I like go plus that minus first edge detection. Like it's not going to change anything, right? Oh no, that worked. Okay, I'm not that bad at math, guys. Update, I'm okay. Yeah, it's pretty hard. Like you do make yourself like very vulnerable when you like get on camera and do stuff like live, because like, yeah, I guess tutorials are like pretty easy to, it's easy to make yourself look good if you're just like making videos about what you've done, because you're just showing the final product. They didn't have to watch you go like really bad. So I guess it's not really a distance to move, but rather the new position, right? Because it goes down to 0. So we just like set the position at this point. We can create like a tween. So we've got a tween. We have other tweens, ADS tween. So we'll go, this one can be called edge detection tween. And we'll just go tween. And we'll come down here and we'll create a tween. Oh, we actually, you know what? We don't need to do that because we're in the process function. We can just lerp. Never mind. Look. And, oh man, I hate lerping so much. You know what? Screw it. I'm doing a tween in the process function. They just work so much better. Basically, if you're doing one in the process function, you want to go if edge detection tween, and then you go edge detection tween dot kill, right? Just kill it every frame. That'll prevent from anything bad from happening. I've done this before, trust me. I'm a tween using professional. And then you can go edge edge detection tween equals get tree dot create tween, and then you know edge detection tween dot tween property tween pro. I am honestly self. The property we want to move is position, and that needs to be in as a string position, and then we only want to move the X, right? The final variant will be the distance to move, and the duration, we'll make this pretty quick, right? And then we have a starting spring length. What have we got? ADS start point. ADS start point. We might need to rename this to just camera start point, because I'm going to use this here because it's essentially in the ready function. We are storing that position of the camera. So, well, of the spring arm, right? So we can use that here. So basically, if there's no detection, we can tween back. So we basically just copy this code, right? It could almost be a function. In fact, maybe we should make it a function. Edge detection tween. That's already what it's called, right? I can't call it that. Edge detection movement. Oh, why are you sleepy, Uzair? This is boring. I actually don't know what to call this function. Just move camera. Camera away from edge. From wall. Yep, great. Perfect name for a function. It actually does take a number, which is the movement, right? And it's a float. And then we can just Goosey is in the house. Goose, you need to tell me that cat that you posted in the Discord. Is it your cat or is it just a random cat? Got too cozy. This is some high level functioning. Yeah, this is the best. Okay, so what are we moving? Distance to move just needs to replace with movement, right? Take us away, looking away, no pressure. Not your cat. Okay, I was a little bit curious. I forgot to ask. Is there? Says hello. Okay, so distance to move, and then we just go move camera away from wall. I mean, it does what it says on the tin, right? Distance to move. And then we can call the function here, and we can just go first edge detection. Actually, not the number we want to go with. ADS start point dot X, right? Because that is a vector 3. Yeah, guys, trust me, this will work, no problems. How much longer until Goose Gun? I don't know, months, probably. We just need to make a Goose Gun on stream, right? Like, I think that's just going to be how... I just need to bite the bullet and make a Goose Gun. Hey, look at... How good is that? Dude. Come on. Does that just not look so good? I probably need to speed up the tween. So much better. What's official? You watch the start of the VOD. The first 20 minutes I covered that the Godot engine is was the most used engine in the GMT game jam. This looks pretty good. So what we probably want to do is make this a hell of a lot faster. And then we just want to go edge detection tween dot set. We want to probably ease out. And edge detection tween, we'll make it a little bit snappier. We'll set the trans, set trans, and we'll make it trans expo. How about my game though? How about your game though? Oh, right. You posted a game. I'm going to play some games on Saturday. I'll play it on Saturday. I've got some games to play. If you guys want me to play your games, go into the Discord and just, maybe I can make a channel. Drop them in the promote yourself. Drop them in the promote yourself, and I'll gather them up and I'll play them on Saturday. So I've got that. Someone else posted a game. Movement showcase. Trench broom, rainbow thumb. I just posted the game. It's released, so there's a couple of other people posting their games. I'm going to go through and I'm going to play some. I'm going to make a game for you. Only math questions. Expect a lot of vectors. I will fail. E or pickup? E to pickup. E to pickup. Okay. Alright, let's see how this tween looks. We got a little bit of clipping. We can forgive it. It's because it's ease out. It's actually slower now. It looks pretty damn good though. The one thing we are going to need to change is the ADS, because it's pretty darn slow to react and technically would be inside the player at that point. I don't know about ease out. What about ease in? No, actually, you know what? Just remove that. I actually think that's making it worse. Because ease... Do you see that? It like moves out a little bit. Why does it do that? It's this tween. Okay, so things look pretty nice. The one thing that I'm noticing is, okay, well, let's turn the mesh back on. Number one. So this is our player, right? That first collision just doesn't work as well as the others, right? It eventually pushes back out, but like we're just staring at the back of our player's head. Man, there's a little bit of flickering there that causes a bit of issues. Like it looks so good, except for that. I feel like the transition that I used actually made it worse. That should have made it quicker. I don't know why. Is it because of the 0.05? Is it too, see, this is like kind of boring, but it does work a lot better. Like it just feels like, oh yeah. This looks super weird. I don't like this. But that's tweens competing against each other. That's what that is. So it might be worth maybe just lerping this, like I said I didn't want to do. Because tweens competing each other is really quite a tough problem to solve. You're not using the same tweens, but you're not supposed to tween the same thing. This is the whole issue. You're not supposed to tween the same property more than once at the same time, right? So move away from the wall is getting called at the same time as ADS, which is a tween. So maybe we just need to try lerping. I hate lerping, but we will try lerping. State glitch, yeah, literally state glitch. So move away from wall. Lerp, dude, I don't even know how to lerp. I lerp so infrequently, I forget how to do it. I need to reference another project, which is, what do I lerp in? I have a lerp in the FPS Pro because of this same exact error. Because I can't, like, I'm using tweens for the IK, but I can't tween the gun kickback and also the sway of the weapon because it's the same property. And basically you run into the same error because you're tweening the same property in two different points. It causes major issues. Does the move camera or wall update the ADS starting point? No, it doesn't. I failed to load script, player controller, movement state machine. Pass error, alright. Interesting. Doesn't matter, we're not here for that. Let's just go to the weapon camera. I have a lot of stuff going on here. Set position. Right. Is this even the right way to do it? I'm setting the position of the camera and then I'm just like position.lerp. Like what? What am I doing here? Does this make sense? I feel that like this is wrong. I might need to look up how to lerp properly. I sleep. Yeah, go get some rest. Goose fat. I'll see you tomorrow. Actually, it's getting pretty late, eh? Oh yeah, I was late today. I was meant to start at 7, but I dropped a cup and smashed it all over the floor, along with all the contents. It's pretty messy. I am lerping a float. Oh, actually, you know what? This is actually lerping a vector. And this, I'm going to be lerping a float. So it's a little bit different. Yeah. And you know, like when you trip a little bit and you try to catch something, basically what happened was I was carrying this mug and I like went to, like, I don't know, something happened. I lost grip. I don't know. It was weird, but I tried to catch it. But in the process of trying to catch it, I like pushed it at the ground even further. So it just exploded on the ground and everything just went everywhere. It was horrible. All right. I might need to look this up because I actually am a bit of I'm lerp phobic and I don't even know how to do it. I just know that in this case, because I am doing two properties, I probably need to lerp. -1 mug. Yeah, literally. Interpolation. Okay. Vector. A.position.lerp. Okay. So I could go a.position.x lerp. Right? Right? And I'll need the delta. Probably. Interpolate with position.transform. That must be specific to. Yeah, position.lerp. It's a vector, right? So I'd need the entire vector. Can I just lerp a single value? I could use move towards. Is lerp and interpolation the same thing? Dude, I have no idea. Vector interpolation. I could just use move towards. That's a function I'm more familiar with. Like, there's lerp from variant to variant weight, right? So, right, position dot x dot lerp that's not like, cannot find, there's no lerp in base float. Lerp is linear interpolate. Everyone's helping me out here. Like dot x dot. Okay. What have we got in float? Yeah, come on. Surely float has some functions. Yeah, I think it, yeah. Get back to the script. Does that even do anything though? Because we're not actually actively updating the position, right? So like, we could be like var new position equals lerp position dot x to movement variant t, and we'll need to pass in t, and we'll just make that. Yeah. Lerp is just the function. It is just linear interpolate. That's all it means. Linearly. I can't even say the word. Ease interpretation combined with ease, smooth step, or remap to map a continuous series of values to another. For better safety, lerp f, vector2.lerp, vector3.lerp, and color.lerp, quaternion basis.slurp. Slurpity derpity. Okay. And then it just needs to pass in delta. I probably need to like multiply that by something. But we'll just leave it like that for now. Yeah, actually it will need to be like times by something. Let's just make it 10 for now. That's a lot of acceleration. New position has no static type. It is a float. And I might as well just use lerp f at this point. And then you can just go position.x. Or even, can you do like position.x equals lerp position.x movement t? Like, will that work? Oh, I'm such a noob. Position.x equals lerp f position.x movement t. Well, is that like an okay thing to do? It is a lot less code, eh? I mean, it works. I'm still having these bizarre issues. I'm going to need to look at however I'm doing that. You know what it is? It's because I'm updating the position. The difference between lerp and lerpf is just type safety. So essentially we're telling Godot that it's a float. So this particular function knows it's getting a float. Lerp doesn't know what it's getting from variant to variant. It's technically slower. So it's also better type safety. It just says better type safety, use lerpf. So if you know it's going to be a float, you should use these ones here. It is probably quicker. I don't know by what margin. It probably doesn't matter for this case. I mean, that works fine. We still got that other problem. We need to look at that because essentially, I think realistically, like switching this to a lerp is probably better in terms of like mixing the tweens. The ADS is moving it specifically to that point. We've still got this weird like little movement, which I need to debug. You can just go vector3.lerp. Yeah, lerpf couldn't be a vector. It would need to be vector3.lerp. So that works. Now, what are we doing with the ADS? we've got a position and we're also changing the spring length, which is probably what's affecting that little movement. I don't know. Actually not too sure. Well, the one thing I wanted to check was Mass Effect. I need a reference for this because the other thing that I'm noticing, right, is when we move in to the player, that's fine. But when we zoom in, we're like inside the head of the player. Like that's a problem. So we probably need to move the camera upwards as well. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted to just check against Mass Effect 3 to see like what they do. Let me just run that. That'll be the last thing we do and then I'll jump off because it's getting late. Manage view properties. It's going to show up on my other screen. That's the only reason I'm like checking that. Because I know that that's kind of like going to be a problem. Press any key to continue. Sorry, I'll try to move it onto the other screen in a second. When you zoom with ADS, you move the camera slightly to the left. It actually gets moved to the right, and that's why we're seeing that like weird movement. I need to like probably move the ADS marker inwards. You know what I probably need to do is just like, rather than having it as a reference, like a marker 3D is nice to have a reference, but like it's not that good when it comes to like, I don't know how to put it. When it comes to moving the camera around, because it is just a fixed point in space and it doesn't update. Extras, options. Surely this game allows me to change the screen that it's on. It does not. So we'll just go to windowed mode. And we'll bring it over to the window. That works. Let me just update my desktop. Oh look, the image is like in the wrong spot. My face. Chat's at the bottom. Patreon. No, they're all broken. My desktop layout is broken, guys. Like Ugreen capture. There we go. Bring you down. Let's at least get me in the right spot. Okay. When you zoom with ADS, you move the camera slightly. Yes, okay, I already read that. Okay, so let's go back. I just want to check what it's like when you go. I know when you hit the wall in this game, it moves you inwards. You know what it is? There's a collision. It doesn't let you get that close to the wall. That's really fascinating. Okay, well that answers that question. They were just like, nah, we're not dealing with it. We're just not going to let you get that close to the wall. Like, look at the gap there. So I guess there's a collision shape. It's wide. Like the player collision shape is really wide compared to the player. Hang on a second. We managed to make it happen there. Okay, so they just like didn't address this issue. They're just like, nah. That's so funny. Okay. They just didn't care. Yeah, yeah, right. So like you can't, it does move in certain circumstances, but like your collision shapes are really big anyway. Like your collision shape is so big. This is not a precision game. You can't jump, right? You can roll. And people just move out of the way. Like,
damn, that's a huge storm.
Oh, press V to look at the storm.
Come on, Lieutenant, it's not that bad.
Doesn't mean it can't kill us.
I'm more worried about the war back.
Okay, where did I see it then? guess you can't fit in narrow hallways. I'd say they probably just designed around that and just like made everything wide enough for the player to get through. I'm actually not too sure. The vector values are in float. You can use it, yeah. What was the other game that I was using as a reference? Once Human, right? That's very recent, so it's like going to be easier for us to see how this is affecting the player. It's starting up. Oh look, I didn't even realize that was... Nope. Where'd it go? The hard drives are spinning up. The CPU is like pretty going. It's always kind of confusing when the character collision is not center of the screen. It makes it hard to walk straight for some people. Yeah, I found it when I first like started doing this, I was like, oh, the camera rotates like it's weird. There's distortion, you know? But like then I checked a bunch of other games and they're all doing it. So like I guess that's just what you do. But I'm not too sure, to be honest. Where's this game? Okay. Let's go to settings, graphics. They also don't give you an option to switch monitors to primary or secondary monitor. Confirm. They don't have an option for that. That's so crazy to me. It's so easy to implement. I've done it before. Like I've got videos on how to do that. Bizarre. How do I enter the game? That's low-key kind of crazy that, like... I don't think I have any... Like, there's no zooming in this. But, like, in terms of me getting close, it does just move. Right? I don't know, though. I guess, like... The player isn't... Probably same thing again. There's no zooming on this one, so I can't actually check that. Where did I see that? Must have been Mass Effect 1. Okay, they do a shader. So if you clip the player, they shade. They shade him out so you can see through him. Because you probably can't like account for every single thing, right? Because that is an option. Like if we do zoom in the center, like just switch to an FPS mode. I don't think I want to do that. I probably just need to pick a lane. What about Mass Effect 1? Play. It's also going to show up on the other one. Blood mode. I assume you can load F1 values. Everything is on the wrong screen. That works. Start new career? I didn't save? I guess I didn't get to a save point.
Welcome to Alliance Military Database.
We're just gonna skip this stuff.
Classified information requested.
Yeah, mate, don't worry about
Establishing secure connection.
I sat through so much
connection
cinematic
confirmed.
to like get to... Yeah, we'll just be
Please
John
log in
Shepard.
to profile reconstruction complete. Identification confirmed.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can I skip this? I can't.
Well, what about Shepard? Earthborn, but no record of his family.
I'll be honest, Mass Effect is like
He was raised on the streets.
one of the best
Learned
games.
to look out for himself.
Like in terms of series, it's so good.
He saw his whole unit die on a cruise.
If
He
you
could
haven't
have some
played it,
serious
like,
emotional scars.
Highly recommend. If you're
Every
like a fan
soldier
of
has
Star
scars.
Wars or like
Shepard's a survivor.
Star Trek or anything like
Is that the kind of person we want protecting the
it is
galaxy?
like by far the best
That's
game
the only
you can
kind of
play for
person who
that.
can protect the galaxy.
The story is so good.
I'll make the call.
It was Mass Effect 3 was the only game that I've ever pre-ordered. Like, I don't really pre-order games, but in 2011 when that came out, I pre-ordered the shit out of it. I wanted to be like day one. Helldivers 2. I wanted to. Did he do that? Oh man. You mean the guy that plays Captain Anderson? That's crazy. Or was it the guy that played John Shepard? Because he would have been young. So that's crazy of him.
The Arcturus Prime relay is in range.
Yeah, okay, I see.
Initiating transmission sequence.
It's like -13. I don't know why it's so loud. Can't hear shit you're saying. Okay, let's turn it down.
We are connected. Calculating transparency and destination.
Audio.
The relay is hot. Acquiring approach vector.
Can I skip any of this shit? I can't.
All stations secure for
But
transfer.
yeah, greatest game. Single player, story, I don't know, like... It really put BioWare on the map. Well, I guess they had Knights of the Old Republic before that.
Screen. Approach run has begun.
Knights of the Old Republic was really good too. Obviously. It's different in terms of gameplay. It's like a lot slower. So,
Hitting the relay in 3, 2,
you know. So who died? Ricky, you said, was it the one that played Captain Anderson or was it the one that played John Shepard? Now you can't hear anything.
just under 1500K.
The audio is like messed up.
1500 is good. Your captain will be pleased.
That's actually crazy.
Nihilus gave you a compliment.
Why is it so quiet now?
You hate him.
You remember to zip up your jumpsuit on the way out of the bathroom? That's good. I just jumped us halfway across the galaxy and hit a target the size of a pinhead.
Oh,
So that's
shut up,
incredible.
mate. No one cares,
Besides,
right? He's
Spectres
just
are
doing his
trouble.
job.
I don't like having him on board. Call me paranoid.
He's gonna get through
Paranoid.
2 talk
The
options
council
and they
helped
can move
fund
the
this
character
project.
around.
They have
Should
a
probably
right to
save it.
send someone to keep an eye on their investment.
Yeah, that is the official story.
Anyone else like
Only an idiot believes the official
Caden
story.
over Ashley every time?
That's enough. You're soldiers. Act like it.
Sorry, Commander.
Joker, status report.
Just cleared the mass relay, Captain.
Good. He's all
I can skip through this.
You get that, Commander?
Great. You pissed the captain off, and now I'm going to pay for it.
Don't blame me. The captain's always in a bad mood.
Only when he's talking to you.
Okay. So I found this really interesting. I don't know how to like put the weapon away, but it's actually centered until you pull the gun out, and then it's not. This one like 100% moves it into the center, and if you zoom, I guess the head's just small enough that it's not an issue. You still clip into yourself. That's actually really fun, because like the raycast is off too. So I guess they just like... Yeah, the camera is over the head. It's not when the gun's out. How do you put the gun away? Just save this. So I have a game to come back to if I need to check this. What are the controls? Interact. Equipment. Squad. Default. Primary key. Secondary key. Journal. Codex. Quit save. Navigation. Forward. Backwards. Toggle. Movement. Speed. Crouch. Fire. Zoom. Change zoom level. E. Best view is on. Draw and holster weapon. Q. So you put it away and it centers itself. You pull it out and it pushes it out to the right. That's fine. And then when you push into the wall, it does... Once again, your collision shape is sort of helping you out here. But at the same time... and then when you get too close, it just removes it. I guess we never know where the best viewers are. You got to pay them for that. So yeah, I guess that's the answer to our question is what happens when it clips in? You just like hide the player model, right? And I don't know about this, like it's very clearly not going to the right spot. Like, is it supposed to do that? That feels wrong, right? Like, this is an old... what the fuck? This is an older game, right? Like, this came out in 2007, so like... Any quick way to map icons to controls in Godot? There's a guy that does it, or a guy that did do it. Godot, I think it was Nathan Hode, Control, Godot Control. He had an add-on for Godot 3, easy input prompts, remapping, Godot 4.
G'day everyone, let's talk about input remapping in Godot. In my game, I have this settings menu that lets you remap the buttons used for input. It supports keyboard if applicable, and if there's a controller connected, then it shows up options for that too. In this video, I'll show you how this works as well as a few other handy input related things.
So like that's probably the closest thing that I can think of.
My game detects the currently active input device and swaps out the input prompts to match whatever the device is. This is a graphical wrapper around the Input Helper add-on for Godot. Input Helper is available from the asset library
this
or on
guy's
GitHub.
the best. He makes so much good stuff. He does
prompt
Dialogue
node
Manager
is
as well. So he makes the Dialogue Manager and he makes this. Like, seriously high quality add-ons. He's really good. He's actually, we are close by geographically.
Just a sprite that updates its texture depending on the action it represents.
Yeah, I think
and
the whole point
currently
of it is
active
it
input
allows
device.
for remapping.
This one is set to UI Inventory and Device Auto, so it uses Input Helper to look up the current input for UI Inventory against whatever device is currently active. So if the player is using the keyboard, we end up with the B key being shown. But if I switch to my Xbox controller, then we end up with the Y button being shown. I've drawn a bunch of my own input prompt graphics, but if you wanted something like this but didn't want to draw your own, you can always get a pack from Itch or one from the one and only Kenny.
Yeah. So I think that's what you're looking for. So I recommend checking out that as a starting point. He's the best. Like, what is it? A lot of people use Dialogic, but I prefer his add-on for dialogue. If I'm using dialogue, it requires a little bit more legwork in terms of coding, and it has like less UI flair, but it is much simpler to use. So I like it for that. So yeah. Okay, so I guess we've established that probably if we're going to allow the camera to clip in, we should probably do what this does, which is make it disappear. I think that's the best way to go. Like, it's the easiest thing. Like, if we're just clipped inside the player, just turn the player off. But I would also say maybe I need to make the player character smaller. It does seem a little bit higher. Like, is it shoulder height? You know what? I might need to just manipulate the FOV for the zoom rather than move the position of the camera. Like, why bother? Just manipulate the FOV. I'll get the same effect. I think that's what they're doing here. Don't know for sure. The fact that the aim is off, this cracks me up the most out of anything. Like, if we clip into the wall and the aim is just like totally bonked, that's actually hilarious. I wonder if it's hard to solve. I think I could avoid that issue. FOV would be smoother. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Like, just avoid having to manipulate the camera position. Like, it's way too hard because we're already like continuously moving it for wall detection. It's like not going to be easy to separate the two. So we'll switch to FOV for that. And if we clip in, we'll have to set up another detection position, like another shapecast to detect the player character. And if we clip into that, we'll turn the player character off. Sounds like a plan. I think that's the best way to go. Cool. Can I shoot these guys? I can, nothing happens. Okay. Alrighty. Let's get out of this game. Alright guys, that is going to be me for the day. That one there. It's been good. It's a short one because I was late, but yeah, I hope you had a good time. Let's play some music. I guess I turned this up. I guess. Oh, you know what? I forgot the Patreon. Come back. Desktop, no chat. Jeez, I'm so bad at this. Shut up. I forgot this last time, so I feel bad. Let's just minimize a few things so we can actually see it. Gyps has a Color Pants, Rab, Big Green, Nike, Giant, Spricky T, YGG, Scoremonger, Mr. Sparkle. Oh yeah, dude. Thank you guys for your support. It makes a big difference. If you want to support it, you can do so on whatever platform you're comfortable with. I don't know. It's not a big deal. Patreon.com/shaftgames. Anyway, guys. Have a good night. We will see you on Saturday. I'll be playing your games, so if you want a game to be played, drop it in the Discord. Under promote yourself.